into the garden season. For those of you who are just joining us, it looks pretty bare, but there's things are starting to happen in the garden. One of the things that's happening is we have a lot of invasive weeds that are coming in, and there are winter weeds that are really important to get out now so that they don't just haunt us all summer long. One of the weeds of important note, we're going to actually have a little contest in a bit, but this is
Bitter Cress.
little bitter cress, also called popweed, and you said you call it knapweed. Yeah, there's different names for it, but this weed is insidious. It will have 3 or 4 generations in a year in the season, so if we don't get it out now, we'll have babies everywhere in our plants that we like. So we want to get that out now before the seeds ripen. So you can see, and I'll pass this around, there's flowers that then turn to seeds. Those seeds will swell, and when they're ripe, you touch this plant and it explodes, which is called popweed. Why they call it popweed. And it will have 20 to 30,000 seeds. Huge, yeah. So I'm going to pass that around so you guys can look at it up close. At this point, those seeds are not ripe and it can go on the compost bin. But if they get much riper, can't put it on the compost bin because the seeds will be viable. So our first thing we're going to do today when our lesson is done is we're going to have a contest, and we're going to split into teams, and we're going to see who can fill their bucket up fastest. It's going to take 10 minutes. I'm going to have a timer, and we're going to try to go around and get as much of it as we can. Another weed that we have this time of year, who knows what that is? It is a type of mint. It's all right. I'm texting, obviously. So Roxanne has been burning these out a lot. What do you call this, Roxanne?
Purple non-stinging nettle.
Yep. Dead nettle. So dead nettle. Yeah, purple nettle. So some people eat this. It does have some benefits like any plant, but we don't want it in the garden area. It seeds prolifically also, so we've been trying to keep that out. But if you want to eat it, Renee loves it, so we can save it for her. But it does seed prolifically, and so it's kind of that balance thing. We probably won't ever get rid of all of any of this stuff, but if we keep it in balance so it doesn't take over our planting beds, it's a good thing. Less work later. Another element that another invasive weed that we have is blackberries, as in the Himalayan type, and they are growing. We've got some along the fence line. And while we were out, actually Roxanne was out getting the purple dead nettle, she found some ivy. And what do we know about ivy? Pretty invasive, right? It's not native. It is, a lot of people use it ornamentally for a ground cover, but if it starts growing vertically, that's when it will flower and fruit, and those seeds then get carried by the birds, goes through the digestive tract, unharmed, unsterilized, and gets deposited everywhere with fertilizer. So we want to keep any ivy, well, first off, we don't want ivy here because we don't need it for an ornamental, but we want to keep it from growing vertically for sure. On a lot of nature trails, you'll hear of Forest Park and Tryon Creek and all that in Portland, and they do ivy patrols. Basically what they do is if this was a tree trunk and the ivy was growing up, they would go and cut it vertically. They just cut a big patch of it that will kill the part up above and eventually starve that out. Then the next year they'll go through and clean the root mass out because it's weak in the plant, and then get a barrier from allowing the ivy to grow vertical in the trees. So if you have ivy on your property and you want it as a ground cover, that's fine. It's an ornamental, but don't let it go vertical because then it starts choking out all of our native plants.
Yeah,
so that's
it suffocates them.
It does. It suffocates them. And then when you get a high wind, all that weight, what happens? Yep, takes the tree right down. Maybe onto your roof. Not a good thing. So keeping invasives under control. We'll probably never eliminate them, like I said, but you know, just getting them under control and managing them is great. So, with that, that's the end of the lesson.